After coaching dozens of people both on stream and in private, I noticed that some mistakes were showing up repeatedly for completely different players on completely different heroes or roles, all the way from Bronze to Celestial. So hopefully, to save you some time and maybe money if you are thinking about getting coaching, I'll go over the most common mistakes I encountered while coaching people and how to fix them. Because I guarantee, no matter what rank you are, what hero or role you play, you are 100% making some, if not all of these mistakes, which are most likely the reasons why you feel stuck and can't rank up. You're probably not even aware of these issues in your gameplay, so I highly recommend paying attention and trying to think if you do this in your games. Starting off with the first mistake. Staggering. This one is probably the most common mistake I see all the time. It's especially common in lower elos, but that doesn't mean it doesn't happen in higher ranks. I've seen people stagger themselves even in top 500 where it's punished even harder. But if you don't know what staggering means, let me explain. Marvel Rivals is a team game, which means you want to play as a team in sync with each other as much as possible. But when you stagger, you desync yourself from the team. You die at a different time than your teammates, which means they are now fighting 5v6, so they lose. Then you go again and you die because you're 1v6. Then your team loses again because they are 5v6, over and over. But sometimes it gets so bad that you don't even get one good 6 versus 6 fight during the round, so you lose without almost making any progress. Because you or your teammates keep going 1 by 1 or 2 by 2 and always fight at a disadvantage. Instead, all you have to do is wait for the team for 5 seconds, group up and go fight together. So check on your team. Are they respawning? Are they on the point already? Don't just run off by yourself. Make sure to engage at the same time as your teammates. However, this doesn't apply in overtime. If you're literally about to lose the point because of overtime, going in there as quickly as possible is fine. But you can also recognize when the enemies are staggering themselves. If you see them die out of sync from the rest of the team, it means you have the advantage, so you can push harder, be more aggressive, and punish the enemies when they're weak. But now that you are aware of this, you might see it happening in almost every game because in general we as humans have problems with the second mistake. Impatience. I don't know if it's because of our zoomer brains or the constant overstimulation, but I see people being impatient way too often, which leads to a lot of other issues like staggering. But how does impatience manifest itself? Well, it can mean we are too impatient to just wait a few seconds for our teammates to come back before rushing into the fight. You can't wait, so you just go in there and die. It can mean forcing a play right now instead of looking for a better one. Patience is a virtue. It's not about just go, go, go. Taking a bit of time, just a few seconds to check on your team, check on the enemies, check on the overall status of the game will take you further because it will allow you to make better informed decisions. Think first, act second. Unless it's overtime and the game is literally about to end, you can afford a few seconds here and there to reset your mind and think about the next fight, the next opportunity, and so on. I know you might be eager to get in there, get kills, get damage, get all of those juicy dopamine hits, but if you're serious about winning, that's a fool's approach. Play slower. You don't need to go all the way to kill the enemies in one go. Allow your team to catch up. But even in terms of just your own gameplay, impatience can also lead to mistake number 3, wasting resources. Because sometimes we can't resist that shiny big button glowing so beautifully that we must press it now, even though it's a completely wrong moment for it. This is especially bad for ultimates, but regular abilities are not excluded either. Randomly throwing your abilities out there just to say you've used them can be the difference between a teammate or an enemy dying. You have to think about the purpose of your abilities and ultimates, because some abilities are meant to be spammed, like Cloak's Black Curtain, while others are meant to be used more carefully, like Magneto's Bubbles. If you waste a bubble at the wrong time, it can mean a teammate dies when you could have saved him. But of course, the most important ability is your ultimate. Just because you can press it now doesn't mean you should. Do you actually need it? Are you countering an enemy? Maybe you can win without even using it, or even if you do use it, maybe it won't make any difference. I see random 1v6 ultimates way too often. Ultimates should be used to gain an advantage or make a fight equal. If you ult by yourself against 6 enemies, you're still at a disadvantage. If 2 or 3 of your teammates die, the fight is most likely already lost, so using your ultimate will still be a disadvantage. Be more patient and use your resources where you can gain value in return. However, don't take this to the extreme, because then you'll fall into mistake number 4, not using resources. players. Yes, yeeting your abilities and ultimates out there is bad, but so is keeping them for too long. You have them for a reason, to be used. Like I said earlier, some should be used sparingly and with care, while others can be spammed non-stop. For example, one of the most common issues I see with Cloak and Dagger players or Invisible Woman players is not using their abilities. I would occasionally review a Cloak and Dagger game and it will be literally minutes before they use the Black Curtain. When I ask them why, they always say, "I don't know, man, maybe I'll need it later." But then that later never comes. Of course, there are times when an ability can be used at the perfect moment, but if you wait out the entire game for that perfect moment, you are missing out on a ton of value. For example, every time you use the Black Curtain on Cloak, you blind the enemies, which makes them panic. They take more damage, which increases your pressure, and it deals 55 damage per enemy hit, which could mean 2, 3, 4% extra ultimate charge every time you use it. I've seen plenty of cases where supports lose critical fights because they died at 95, 96 ultimate charge. Missing out on a little bit of healing, damage or pressure can sometimes be the only difference between winning or losing. The same goes for your ultimates, of course. I've seen people keep them available for entire rounds without using them. Spoiler, they don't carry over between games. If a perfect ultimate would be 100% value, a bad ultimate might only be 20 or 30% value. But that's still better than 0% value, which means not using it at all. I think ideally you should look to use your ultimate in the next 10 to 30 seconds after charging it up. Any more than that and you're starting to miss out on a ton of ultimate charge for your next ultimate, especially since some ultimates can genuinely be charged back up in 30 or 40 seconds. So instead of having one ultimate per round, you could have 3, 4 or 5 ultimates depending on the hero. Moving on to the next mistake, walking forward. Now I don't mean pushing or taking space when appropriate, but just walking forward for no reason. I think it's because it's a human instinct to walk towards whoever you're looking at, or maybe to make it easier to land your shots because you're closer to the target. Regardless, this is especially bad for supports and DPS players. I will see some Hela or Invis start shooting and out of nowhere just start walking closer and closer to the enemies as if mind controlled by Emma Frost. But most of the time that's unnecessary and bad. It puts you in risky positions where you are in more danger. This might also be because of our zoomer brains, but it's perfectly reasonable to just stand still while shooting, especially if no enemies are even looking in your direction. Maximize your range potential. Just keep shooting from a distance. You don't need to walk forward. Just plant yourself somewhere. But be careful so you don't end up making the next mistake, staying out in the open. You don't want to end up like a deer in the headlights in the middle of the street where you can get run over by the enemies. Being in the open exposes you to a lot of unnecessary danger. It means you can get shot or attacked from multiple angles or enemies, but more importantly, it leaves you without any options in case things go bad. Imagine if there's a Scarlet Witch ulting right next to you. Do you have a place to hide behind? If the answer is no, then you're probably out in the open, which is a bad position. Now, of course, some maps don't have cover everywhere, but at least they have some way of helping you block enemies' lines of sight, because cover can mean many things. A random box, the cart, a building, a corner, anywhere you can stay where the enemies can't shoot you from their direction. Nothing feels safer than a piece of cover shots can't penetrate. But if all else fails, high ground is almost always a good option. It acts as cover, it lets you choose your engagements by getting closer or farther away from the ledge, and it makes it harder for the enemies to reach you. Cover and high ground give you options, going in and out whenever you want. Moving on to the next mistake, which is not looking around. Like I said earlier, Marvel Rivals is a team game. While you can solo carry a game if you are good enough, you cannot literally play 1v6 by yourself. You need your team to distract the enemies, to heal you, to help you out in case of trouble. Even if you have a team made of monkeys, they are still your team and you still need them, which means you need to play with them as organized as possible. But you can't do that if you don't even know what's going on with them. So many times I will see tanks push up all the way to Narnia into enemy space, die by themselves, then get mad asking, "Where the fuck is my team?" Only to see that they are busy dealing with some flankers or divers. But while this is an especially common issue with tanks because we don't have eyes behind our backs, it's present in other roles as well. I have seen supports have teammates die literally besides them because they never bother to check on anyone else but the tanks. No matter who you play, always look around, check on your team. Every 5 seconds, literally, turn your view around and look at your team. Where are they? Can they assist you in this fight? Are they being pressured by the enemy? You need to look around and gather information in order to make better decisions. This will help you stop staggering. This will help you not waste resources. This will help you position better. Everything you do in the game has some relation with your team, so you need to know what's going on with your team before you even do anything. However, taking this to the extreme might lead you to the next mistake: blaming your teammates. Yes, you need your team to assist you, but no matter how bad they are, you are still supposed to be the better player in the game. Your team just needs to exist, and that's it. If they're bad, they're bad. There's nothing you can do about it. No matter what you say, no matter how much you try to convince them to do this or that, you cannot control them. Think of your teammates as NPCs in a game. They are programmed a certain way and there is literally nothing you can do about it. Or like our parents, we cannot choose our parents. Same as we cannot choose our teammates if you solo queue. The only option left is to play our best, use the teammates we got and hope to win. Which leads me to the last and final mistake: not adapting. Building on those bad teammates. If they are being toxic, adapt and mute them. It's literally that simple. It just takes 1 second. But this one goes beyond toxic teammates. While Marvel Rivals is a shooter, it's a lot more similar to chess than you might think. What you should do depends on what the enemy plans to do. What is their biggest strength or their biggest weakness? If you have trouble with a diver, adapt and swap to a hero that can deal with dive. If your current strategy is not working and you keep losing fight after fight after fight, adapt and change your strategy. Don't get me wrong, brute forcing is possible, but for the majority of players, the swap hero button can genuinely win you games. What does the enemy want to do and how can you counter it? Adapt your moves based on the enemy's moves. Thanks for watching, now go get some wins.